Welcome to CXOTalk number 886. I'm Michael Krigsman, and we are cutting through the hype around artificial intelligence and customer experience with Tom Eggemeyer, CEO of Zendesk. Tom will share honest, real-world lessons from Zendesk's AI journey, what's worked, what hasn't, and how AI is reshaping customer expectations. Tom, welcome to CXOTalk. I'm delighted to chat with you.
Great to be here, Michael, and I'm delighted to be number 886.
Everybody has received messages from Zendesk. We submit a support request and we get something back from Zendesk. So just briefly, give us some background. Tell us about Zendesk.
Zendesk is a AI-first customer support software company. We're all about helping companies resolve their customers, their employees, or their fellow business issues.
What's going on with AI in customer experience today?
When we think about AI from a customer support perspective, we think there's just huge gains for companies, employees, and consumers from an AI perspective. It's not hype, it's actually real.
So when you say that AI is disrupting, can you elaborate on that?
AI is actually solving customers' problems. The hype, I'm old enough to know 20 years ago, we talked about machine learning or predictive analytics. We're going to be able to solve customers' problems, quite frankly, without human intervention. And it's been a little bit of a hype cycle for the past 20 years, but we're actually seeing that happen right now. We have one product called AI Agents Advanced, where you put a bot into one of our customer environments. And with 3 clicks of a mouse, taking some knowledge from the company, we can solve almost instantaneously more than 30% of customers' interactions. And what's interesting is the customers are more satisfied, it costs less, it's more accurate, and you can do it with 3 clicks. And that's kind of the promise of AI, is always on, fantastic accuracy, lower cost for companies so that they can go put their finite resources into maybe solving the root causes that are causing them having problems with their customers.
There's so much discussion around AI, and you've just presented, can I call it a kind of idealized version, or is it totally realistic, or where's the gap?
The gap is a couple things. Number one, I see some people in the marketplace, guaranteeing 65 to 85% of interactions can be resolved with AI within a matter of days. And I think that's hyping a little bit. There are some of our customers that are getting 85 or 90% resolutions, but there's some customers with more complex use cases that are getting 20 or 30%. So I think part of the hype is it kind of depends on the customer type, what kind of interactions they're having with their employees or with their customers, on what kind of resolution rate you can get. The second thing, there's a little bit of hype, is right now you need to have something called a knowledge base or a bunch of information or other knowledge, structured data, so that you can get resolution rates quickly. And that's not always the case. And so we got to be honest with customers and honest with consumers about that. And then third, there are still mistakes that AI makes, just like humans. And we don't want to underestimate that. And we want to make sure that we get as close to 100% accuracy as possible. What's interesting is we've done some A/B testing, and we see less hallucinations from AI than we see mistakes from humans. But it's interesting that we use different nomenclature. We call AI agent, mistakes hallucinations, and human agent mistakes.
When things are set up in the right way, that the data is organized properly and so forth, then the AI does a great job, is essentially what you're saying.
Exactly. I was with a customer about a month ago in Australia, for instance, and what we found out working with them is they had 5 different policies, for instance, from different parts of the organization on what constituted a return. It was an e-commerce company. And when you have data like that, of course, the AI is not going to get it perfect because it's getting input at 5 different, policies that are slightly different from each other. And so really having good policies, having good knowledge, having good information is really, really key. Now we can help, and other players in the market can help create that knowledge. Like one of the things we do now is we see a bunch of the customer interactions and we see you have a gap right here. In the past, we would have said you have a gap, you should go solve it. Now we say you have a gap, here's a recommend it. We write it for you. Okay, the AI writes it for you. A recommended article, a recommended policy. Do you want to accept? Do you want to decline? Do you want to edit it? So the world is kind of flipping on itself right now. But like you said, data is really structured and unstructured data that's consistent, that's publishable, and that's readable is really important in this AI journey.
You mentioned this phrase AI journey. I was really interested, at what point did you recognize that AI in customer support was so important that you had to, is it too strong a term to say transform the company around this?
Absolutely transform the company, because the way we look at it at Zendesk, we can be the disruptor in AI customer support, or we're going to be disrupted. And we were the disruptor 17 years ago with customer support help desk, and we want to do that again. I remember when OpenAI launched, I think it was October 2022, and there was an amazing amount of buzz about it. And just thinking about the implications of it in the summer and the fall of 2022. And I was over in our Lisbon, Portugal office. I remember this vividly in December 2022 with some of our lead, we had a small group of AI data scientists and engineers, about 10 of them. And I asked for our roadmap. I just started that month as CEO. And we had a bunch of great ideas, but we didn't have a roadmap. And I think talking to industry experts in the summer and the fall of 2022, I came to the conclusion that just like internet, just like mobile, just like premise to cloud, there was going to be a major, major disruption. I think some people came to that maybe 6 or 12 months ahead of that. And we did not have a roadmap. We did not have enough people on it. We're not thinking about it. And so we spent a couple days writing on a whiteboard. I wish I would have taken pictures of it in Lisbon, Portugal, about what kind of first product that we wanted to launch. And so that was kind of the aha moment for me. I would have thought it would have been in the Bay Area, but it was actually in Lisbon, Portugal.
You mentioned disrupting yourself. That's a hard thing to do. Most of the time, businesses get disrupted because there's a competitor, there's something going on out there, and they have no choice. But in this instance, you saw the tidal wave coming, and so you took proactive steps and said, hey, we need to change. It seems like that's what you were just describing.
I don't think we had an option, honestly, Michael, if I'm really honest, because the customer support, like we have a stat, we think 80% of customer interactions with companies are going to be through AI within 5 years, and 100% are going to involve AI in some way within 5 years, meaning humans will use AI. So we didn't have a choice, but we have a lot of great Zendeskians employees that saw this wave coming and saw that, hey, we were the disruptor 17 years ago. Mikkel and the whole Zendesk team disrupted the help desk and customer service, and we wanted to do it again. So I would say we're fortuitous that this was coming, that we had some of the building blocks and pieces in the foundation, but also it's just an imperative that if we didn't do it, and I had seen in the premise to cloud contact center world, I worked for a company called Genesys that was 100% prem. It's now one of the leading cloud providers of contact center. We went through that metamorphosis where the other two leaders of contact center prem didn't go through it. And so it's easier to do as a private company, but there's definitely an imperative to do it because there's going to be winners and losers here. And I really feel responsible first for our customers to give them value, second to our employees, and finally to our shareholders that we need to disrupt ourselves.
I want to remind everybody that there is a tweet chat taking place right now on Twitter, X, and you can ask your questions using the hashtag CXOTalk. And if you're watching on LinkedIn, just pop your questions into the LinkedIn chat. And we have some questions that are coming up, but I'm still really interested in this transition. So as you were moving from the pre-AI world into AI, did you get any resistance? Did you from stakeholders, from your board, from employees, from your customers? Because it's a big change, and change is always hard.
I don't know if there's resistance. I'll be honest, with our board, it's actually been, how can you go bolder? How can you go bigger? Because they see the transformation. So if anything, we have a great board, and I say they do strategic agitation, and their agitation again is go faster, think bolder, think bigger on how you can really give value to your customers. I think there's different levels of maturity within our customer base. Some people are like, want to be cutting edge. Some people were over the last couple of years saying, hey, is this going to be real? Is this really going to disrupt? Are we really going to be having AI agents, Copilot, generative search for knowledge bases really transform customer support? I think the vast majority of customers are saying right now, after these 2.5 years, that AI is real. AI is disrupting customer support. So I think it's gone from a question mark 2.5 years ago with our customer base to a consensus. The board has already been there. And employees, I think they ask real good questions, is like, how are we going to be the disruptor and not just be disrupted? How are we going to do all the core things that we need to do on our core customer service omni-channel platform while adding AI? Am I going to be left behind if I'm not part of the AI revolution? And so we have, coffee chats, we have AMAs where we talk to the employee base. But if anything, I think the employee base is really, really excited about being the disruptor, being number one in customer service, and really serving our customers and getting real, true, tangible value to our customers with AI.
Now would be an excellent time to subscribe to the CXOTalk newsletter. Go to CXOTalk.com. We'll keep you updated on upcoming shows. Tell us about the changes that you drove into the product. So how is customer support rooted in AI different from what came before?
There's a couple things where we are now and where we're going in the future. Where we're going right now is we think we can automate a lot of customer interactions. So for the customer, again, that's what our customer's customer, it's all about. It's quicker, it's more accurate, and they're able to solve their problem in a really good way. For companies, they're spending less on it. And so what has happened right now in AI is a little more reactive. And I'll give you a couple of use cases. In the future, it's going to be more proactive. But in the past, we have about 30,000 knowledge-based customers. So think you go into a company's website and you say, you type in, how do I return these pair of shoes? A knowledge base in the past would come up with 5 or 10 blue links, and you'd go pick one on how you return shoes. What happens now is we've launched something called generative search, and this is free, part of our product, for knowledge bases where, like a Google Gemini search, you actually get the answer, on how to return the shoes. And it's getting even better with agentic AI, where you might be able to do that whole process, including going back to an ERP, for instance, all, the actions, all through an AI agent. So that is kind of reactive still. You then go to an AI agent maybe from the generative search, and an AI agent can act like a human agent, do all the things a human agent can do. Sometimes generative search and an AI agent's not going to solve the problem, and so you go to a human agent. But that's all reactive right now. We're kind of flipping that right now in customer service, where it's proactive, where we're taking all this information from the searches you make, Michael, the interactions that you have with an AI agent and human agent, and we're saying, these are 7 root cause issues that are going on. We keep sending out black shoes when Michael wanted red shoes. And then we have customer interactions. What do we need to go do? And have an insight into the supply chain. Why do we have a problem there? Through AI. And so it's getting flipped on its head right now, customer support, from reactive to more proactive, from reactive to more root cause analysis, and from reactive to actually actions of solving root cause problems that a company is having interacting with its employees or customers.
And again, I want to come back to this comment you've made a couple of times on the accuracy. Can you talk about that? Because of course, this is a key dimension of everything here.
We've done a lot of A/B testing, and on, let's call it the top 50 or 100 use cases, usually an AI agent is as accurate or more accurate than a human agent. When you get to really complex, maybe a customer asks 3 different things in a query, they say in an email or a chat or a phone interaction where there's voice AI now, you say, how do I return my shoes? I want a credit. I want to order a new pair of red shoes instead of my black shoes, and I want to go order a sweater. When you get 3 or 4 queries in a row, like in one message, sometimes AI does not nail that. I think a human does better still, but it's getting better. The other place where I think AI is not quite there is a really, really complex corner case that, again, the data does not solve, where a human needs to get involved. On the other hand, I think AI, it's interesting, some of the data that we've had some research recently, data is doing just as good or better, the data says, on empathy, which is surprising. I would have always thought humans are going to be more empathetic, but there's some interesting research piece, and I'm forgetting where I read it recently, where doctors, an AI agent doctor, an AI or a human doctor, the AI agent doctors are considered more empathetic. And so we're starting to see more empathy, more caring from AI agents, which is something I never thought we would have had.
We have come a long way from the chatbots, which were simply prescriptive and, frankly, for a lot of users, honestly, a waste of time. There's a very different universe now.
Exactly. So those chatbots that you probably have in your mind that would drive me, weird, they would be frustrating for me, frustrating for you. We're kind of decisions tree, if then you go yes, and you kind of go down the decision tree. And a lot of times, again, the inquiries were more complex and you get stuck at part of the decision tree and then you get handed over a human. The human agent wouldn't have the context of that chatbot. What's different now with agentic AI is these AI agents are basically autonomous and can reason. And that's the fundamental difference from the chatbot experience everyone had. And so what I tell everyone, I know you probably dealt with chatbots in the past, but if you deal with a true agentic AI agent right now, I think you're going to be wowed by the experience. It's not perfect, just like human agents are not perfect, but that's the fundamental difference. You're going from a kind of a decision tree pre-baked to something that's agentic, that's something that's reasoning. What we think is really important as part of this is that you need to be white box, not black box. And if I were a company or consumer, especially a company, how did the autonomous AI agent, the agentic AI agent, make decisions? What was their thought process? One of the things we do is we lay that all out, for every single interaction an AI agent or a bot has with a customer, so that companies can go refine that by giving natural language instructions to it to keep getting better and better. I think that's really, really important, because if you're black boxing it as a company, you don't know why the AI agent is doing something, so it's harder to improve.
I use large language models, multiple LLMs every day, all the time. And for the reasoning models, when they expose their logic, it is so useful.
I agree. I'll give you an example of my personal life. My wife's grandfather, he was born in the US, but he grew up in Ireland. And my wife wanted to know, can she get Irish citizenship? I took our Ancestry.com, gave the password to a large language model, connected to an email account that I made up, created, and said, can you go research and grab records to support the claim that my wife can go get Irish citizenship? It was amazing what it was able to do. It requested parochial grade school records from an Irish parish school. It got me all this information and then wrote a legal memo on why it thought my wife was able to get Irish citizenship. The only problem, kind of to your point, Michael, is it got the legal conclusion wrong. It said the legal conclusion was yes. It's probably a 50-50 corner case that she got it, but it exposed some of the logic and some of the reasoning, and that's how I caught it might have been wrong on its conclusion. And so that's why I just think it's, first of all, cool business case, right? You can take your tree from Ancestry.com, create an email account, get a legal memo, document supporting it by just giving some prompts. But on the other hand, that's why it's so important to give that white box treatment to really understand the logic behind it, so you can still see flaws, because there's flaws and mistakes just like human beings would make.
When the AI makes a mistake, and a customer service agent is actually working with a customer, do you have ways of trying to trap that, or how does that get managed? Because the mistakes can be insidious, right? The LLMs speak with the full confidence of, quote unquote, someone who knows they're absolutely right.
Totally.
All the time.
So one of the things we think we differentiate and we think is important for any player in customer service is we have something called quality assurance. And quality assurance is using a different algorithm than a large language model. And we actually score every single AI agent or human agent interaction for accuracy, for tone, for resolution. And we find through that where humans are making mistakes or AI agents are making mistakes, and we surface that. And so again, the white box, and you're totally right. One of the flaws right now is a AI agent will say with absolute certainty that my wife can get Irish citizenship, where it's a little murky, but be 100% confidence. And so we have this real strong point of view. You should be, as a company, doing quality assurance, not on a sample size. Right now, most companies are doing like 1% of interactions they're analyzing. We say to analyze 100% of interactions, and you can get summaries of that now based upon AI, and that's how you're going to spot issues, whether humans or AI agent. And what's really key about that is sometimes you're going to see the AI agent is handling a question or a query better than the human agent. But sometimes you're going to want to have, with like my 80-year-old parents, my mom will be upset. She's not quite 80 yet, but my father's 80. You're going to want to have them talk to humans. They're not going to want to talk to an AI agent, and you want to get that AI agent accuracy into the humans. And so we really think quality assurance systematically is so important in the AI era.
So the AI is also enabling you to have a far more granular type of ongoing QA than was possible in the past.
Allowing us to have more granular, more ongoing. And what's the great thing is surface those insights where there are mistakes and propose actions, whether go build this policy, go change, you have policies that are conflicting with each other. Go make sure that you create a policy here or a piece of knowledge to go solve it. So has more granular insights, it's more personalized, and with agentic AI can propose actions and make actions to go hit the root causes of customer dissatisfaction.
Let's jump to some questions. And the first question is from Greg Walters. He actually asks a couple, but I'm going to go to his second one. And he says, regarding disruption, AI eliminates the middle person. Do you see a time where Zendesk is more than a component of and a tool for customer service, becoming, quote, customer support and service, the department?
I know some companies are out there. There's something called BPOs that will say you can outsource a lot of your customer interactions to us, and we'll be in charge of the technology and the people to solve that. I think in the future, our platform needs to be reactive for our companies, but also proactive. And again, it's going to be interesting. It's going to change the dynamic. Right now, we're all about the reactive customer issues. Greg, I think this is a great question, by the way. In the future, I think we're going to be solving problems before they even occur, with our companies. I don't know if we're ever going to be the customer service department itself. I think we're going to be a platform to help the customer service resolve issues before they happen, and when they do happen, solve them. But we have debates, and I tell everyone this every week. Customer service is massively changing. Every week there's new AI innovations, and we've had discussions on how does our platform evolve, and are we going to be taking more and more of the load from customer service departments in the future? I think it's a really insightful question.
Another question from LinkedIn, and we'll jump to the questions on Twitter shortly. This is from Brandon Bird. And Brandon says, are there specific verticals where Zendesk plans to double down with AI to gain a first mover advantage?
We think over the next 5 years that vertical industries, the more deep that you can get into tasks and procedures and expertise, the better you're going to be able to solve your customers' employees or our customers' issues. And so we right now have a really, really good foothold in e-commerce, fintech, manufacturing, and I could go on with the list, tech. And so we are going deeper and deeper and taking our learnings from those verticals and applying them to our customer service AI-driven resolution platform. And so I think that's going to be one of the secret sauces where companies help their customers get more value by differentiating on a vertical or industry basis. And so it's already happening now. I think we're in the early innings or the early part of the match. for your international audience. But I think you're going to see over the next 5 years a lot more industry-specific solutions and industry-specific knowledge and industry-specific AI.
We have a question from Firestar who says, it feels like we're finally past the AI is coming phase and into actually making it work for customers.
The technology works, but I think where we are in the next evolution is getting it adopted. It's interesting. We see customers maybe don't want to adopt it on one end. And so one of the things we tell our customers to do, I've seen some, and this is learning from other customers, is you might want to say, I have an AI agent available right now for you, or do you want to wait 5 minutes for a human agent? And so a lot of people will test the AI agent because they've had the bad experience, Michael, you had with the chatbots in the past. And so you kind of want to nudge them to go try the AI agent. We've also have the human agents where there's something called Copilot they're using, and they've been using other tools. And so how do you go nudge them to go get adopted? And once they see the power of Copilot, they'll start using it more and more. And then just implementing with the customer to make sure that you're getting the data right, you're structuring the policies right, you're really taking agentic AI and starting to run through your business processes and workflows and creating new processes in workflows with AI. There is still some adoption challenges in the marketplace. And just the fact that you can do a lot with 3 clicks, but it might take you a couple weeks or a couple months to get the full value stack or beyond that journey is another, problem with adoption right now. So I think we've gone from does the technology work to how do we get employees, customers, and autonomous AI agents, all three really embracing the technology. The adoption curve, the implementation, the adoption, I think is the next frontier that, Zendesk is dealing with and other companies are dealing with.
It's a great point. And of course, across different industries and different companies, as you mentioned earlier, there are varying degrees of maturity, which has a direct impact on that adoption capability.
Definitely. And it's really interesting. We're seeing, when you talk about a small customer, they're looking for instantaneous impact, and they're looking for the 3-click solutions. When you talk to an enterprise customer, they're really looking for embedding AI deeply in tasks, in procedures, changing their workflows, inventing new workflows, having actions that takes, like I used the return example of shoes, across the ERP, across the supply chain to really interconnect it. So different customers are asking for different things. And I kind of look at it, there's a maturity curve for customers. There's a segment, whether you're SMB, mid-market, or enterprise. And there also is geographic differences. People in the Bay Area, for instance, are ready to embrace. I'm originally from Ohio. My parents are from Kentucky. When I talk to customers in Ohio and Kentucky, they might be a little more, where the Bay Area was a year ago. So you have this kind of Rubik's Cube based on geographic region, segment, and maturity of the customer, where they're ready to go. But I think largely we're getting over, is this hyper real? And people are accepting that it's real.
I have a lot of questions of my own, but I really like to prioritize the questions from the audience. The audience, I always say this, you guys are really smart. We have a question. I'm still on Twitter, X, and we're going to jump to LinkedIn in a moment. Question from Elizabeth Shaw on Twitter, who says, as AI-enabled customer support functions increase, especially with AI agents and then agentic AI, how important will the human touch be? And when will human touch be the right thing? So how important is the human touch? And when do you need to loop in the human from the electronic agent?
We still think 10 or 20% of interactions are going to be human-led, and they're going to be the most complex interactions. They're going to be segments of your customer base. Maybe it's your top customers. And there could be people that just want to talk to a human. And so we think there's going to be 2 or 3 areas where humans are going to be still the central focus point of a resolution. And sometimes, even though I said sometimes the AI agents are giving more empathy, if a customer is really upset, a lot of times a human being can do that really, really well. So I guess that would be the first point, that humans, we believe, are still going to be in the loop. The second thing that we think is really exciting is, I know there's been a concern that people are just going to start cutting human agents. And what we've seen is something different. We call it, there's been a service deficit up until now. I think most people would say when they interact with brands, whether they're a business or consumer, they might not get the best experience. And so there's this service deficit. We think that AI is going to give a service dividend where the humans are going to be able to free up to spend more time on the root cause of some of these bigger issues. They're going to be able to manage the AI agents. So you might have a human agent managing a team of AI agents to what we talked about before, Michael, to make sure that there's accuracy using QA and other tools. And we think the service dividend is just going to go increase customer satisfaction, again, whether that's B2B use case or a B2C use case or an employee, because you're going to be dealing with more of the root cause and preventing things before they happen. And you're going to get more personalized. And so we think there's going to be a couple reactive use cases. We believe, people need to remember that there's always a human at the other side, even though, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, Michael, in 12 to 18 months, you're probably going to be using your own bot to go talk to a company's bot. At the end of the day, there's still that human on the other side of the interaction, and we need to remember that.
And this is from Preeti Narayan, and she says, as AI reshapes customer experience, how do you see industry verticals like retail, healthcare, and financial services evolving their customer engagement models? Are there industries where AI-driven CX has become a strategic differentiator rather than just an operational tool? And how is Zendesk positioning itself to lead in those transformative shifts? I'm just going to make one request to people asking questions. Keep your questions simple because I'm reading your questions and I need to make sure I get it. Okay. So AI-driven CX becoming a strategic differentiator rather than just an operational tool, and how you're positioning to lead in these transformative shifts.
What's really interesting is we are seeing some customers see it as a transformational tool that can really differentiate their business. And I'll give you an example. We have more and more customers that don't want to be customer references because they don't want to let their competitors know that they are getting 70 or 80% of their interactions solved by AI agents, and they're having this service dividend that they can go reinvest. And so some of our best customers don't want their name out and don't want the results out. And to me, that's kind of the proof in the pudding that they are getting amazing automated resolution rates. So the AI is solving the problem before it goes to a human, and they see that as a competitive advantage. The way we're trying to do that is we really focus on what we call the resolution platform or automated resolutions and the whole system of the resolution platform. So we are looking with our customers on a day-to-day, week-by-week basis on what percentage of your interactions have you resolved and have you automated. And again, like we talked about, Preeti, this was a good question before. We're getting deeper from a vertical perspective on that. And when we get those high automation rates, we really think you can go into that service dividend land. And so that's how we're positioning ourselves with our customers. We're not perfect, but we're really trying to drive our customers to higher and higher automation rates. And that's why we've come out with our new pricing model called automated resolutions. We only get paid if we solve a customer's problem with you, if we resolve it. But it has to, if it goes back to a human, we don't get paid for that interaction, even though it costs us money. And that's a way for us to kind of lead the way in customer service and put our operating model totally in line with our customers because they care about driving up the automation rate, the automated resolutions, and we're in the exact same boat because about how we price.
I like that, putting skin in the game. Historically, software companies, going back to on-prem, they sold the product, threw it over the wall, and if the customer used it or didn't use it, they still paid. And now you're going to the opposite extreme where Zendesk has a stake in the customer outcome as opposed to the process of getting to that outcome.
We talked about transformation and culture a little before and employees. This is a big transformation for our customers, for our employees and for our shareholders, because how we look at operating model, in the past it was seats. We still have some seats. Some companies made the switch to interactions. And now the next evolution is to outcome-based pricing, or really aligning with your customers. I'll give you an example. I was on an airline, I won't say where in the world recently, and I noticed that I was going to miss my connection. I got on their app. I think they had a beta going on with AI agents, and I got about 90% done solving my problem of rebooking my connection. Unfortunately, took off. I turned off my phone, no Wi-Fi. I landed. The AI agent hadn't solved my problem. I'm confident that airline, maybe they didn't get charged, but they would have gotten charged $2 for an interaction, even though I was more dissatisfied, because I called a human agent then, and the human agent didn't have any of the context from the AI agent. And so I felt like I was repeating myself. And oh, by the way, I had to wait like 8 hours at the airport because I missed all the connections because they got booked in the meantime. And so that's an example where if you're on a seat-based or interaction-based, the software provider probably got more money from my interaction with that AI agent, even though I was more dissatisfied. And that's not what we want to do as a company. We really want to align our customers' outcomes to our outcomes.
Here's an interesting one from Ryan Smith. This is really nuts and bolts. He says, as AI begins to resolve tickets faster and automate more interactions, how should CX leaders rethink success metrics? Do legacy KPIs like customer satisfaction and FCR, first close resolution, still matter? Or do we need a new framework?
I'm going to give you an example. There's a lot of companies right now that use average handling time. So how long does a human agent stay on, whether it's a phone, an email, a chat, you name it, a web form, how long does it take for that human agent to resolve the problem? And you want lower average handling time. One of the things that we tell our customers is once you implement automation takes, let's call all the easy and medium hard interactions away. And so the humans are left with the most difficult ones. And so we tell CX leaders, your average handling time is going to go way up. Okay. And you're going to be like, why did this happen? I just implemented AI agents in automation. And then I gave my human agents Copilot, which should make them more efficient, but their average handling time is going up. And so we're starting to develop more frameworks with our customers so they're not surprised. When you explain that, a customer, a CX leader is like, of course, because they're getting the 10% or 20% of interactions that are really, really difficult, that take a long time. Okay. And so we're encouraging more A/B testing, different frameworks. I do think still NPS or CSAT matters. I think there's going to be some new frameworks and some new metrics, like how can you reduce interactions, not for reducing interactions sake, because you're solving the root cause. And so I think over time, how quickly you reduce the interactions that keep coming up is going to be a metric in the future. Average handle time is going to be less of a metric. I still do think first contact resolution is important. If you look at the psyche of customers, they rather wait longer to interact with an AI agent or human agent, rather wait on hold, quote on hold for 5 minutes and get it solved immediately, rather than being moved around 2 or 3 times between different humans and AI agents. So I think first contact resolution. But Ryan, I think your supposition that we're going to have an evolution in metrics is absolutely going to happen with CX leaders.
It's so interesting how AI is driving change in so many different directions. The tentacles are far-reaching and the implications are very profound. I mean, just look at what you just described with your pricing policy. I mean, that's such a dramatic shift.
I don't think we know, Michael, all the implications of AI. And I think people that are certain on how it's going to go over the next 15 or 20 or 25 years are probably wrong. But it is profound. One of the things I do is every 2 weeks, I do a deep dive on what's changed in AI in the last 2 weeks and how could it impact our customers and how can we provide more value to our customers. And I would tell you, if you're in the customer service industry from 2009 to 2019, like I was at another company, like the changes you would have in years are about the same pace that we now have in weeks. And so there's just so many profound implications on the future of work. I have a 22-year-old daughter and a 20-year-old son, and they ask me with AI, what should I do? And that's like kind of an existential question about what skills and capabilities they should learn, because I think the nature of work is going to just massively shift over the next 10, 15, 20 years, for instance.
As CEO of Zendesk, what does this rapid change? It's extraordinary that you have to look every 2 weeks to see what's changed in this AI world that could have some type of potentially profound impact on the market and on your company, Zendesk.
It really changes that you need to make sure you're getting a lot of signals from customers in particular, and like when we're doing well and when we're failing, I think is really, really important. From the industry at large is really important. And I think what I encourage employees is you've got to be a learning employee. You've got to learn AI. You've got to embed it into your daily workflows. You got to stay on top of it, because that is a skill. And I think it's going to differentiate employees including CEOs in the future, who really understands AI, who's embedding it in their daily life, who's using it strategically and tactically. And so I think always learning. I give advice to people. You have to always be learning, and you have to be always learning about AI. It is going to impact your job in some shape, way, or form over the next 5 years, no matter what job you're doing right now.
This is from Arsalan Khan, who is a regular listener. He asks great questions. He says, when will we be able to replace humans with AI? What happens to people? Will manager AIs be able to write performance reports for other AIs and humans?
I'm an optimist about this point. I think AI is going to enhance people's lives. And I think we've seen with every major revolution in the world, it create more jobs, but create different jobs. So I'm still an optimist here on what AI is going to do. I think, it's an insightful question about performance reviews. I think right now where we are, I think AI can give summaries. If you get a lot of 360 feedback, summaries for performance reviews, insights for performance reviews, it's probably going to happen in 10, 15, maybe even sooner, that you are going to have performance reviews written by AI and edited by a human. I think it happens right now. I've talked to some startups that are doing that right now. And so I think, again, we just got to really understand at the other end of that, there is a human getting a performance review. And you got to be really, really confident in the technology, that it's getting all the data sources, all the signals, honest, in a good way, and transparent on, again, that white box theory, Michael, on what it got and how it came to its reasoned conclusions about your performance. We're already there with quality assurance, where we are evaluating 100% of interactions, whether it's a human agent and AI agent, and scoring them. It's not a formal performance review, but it's like indicators of success. So we're already there. I think there's some really profound implications for human society over the next, again, 5, 10, 15, 20 years about how jobs are going to evolve. Your longtime listener, I think, alluded to it, where he said you're going to have different jobs, and we think there's going to be human managers managing teams of AI agents going forward. And that's going to be probably one of the new jobs that's created from this AI revolution.
Arsalan Khan has been waiting a long time, so I'm going to pop another question from him. And he says on Twitter, can you talk about the role of data in your product and AI?
One of the things that we have an advantage as a company is we do 4.6 billion resolutions a year. And so there's a huge data set that can help post-train our models. So they're not just large language models off the shelf. You post-train those models to get more accurate, okay? It's based on that 4.6 billion interaction data set. It's based upon, to the earlier questions, deeper vertical information. And we're able now, with knowledge bases and pulling things from Confluence or SharePoint or others, we're able to get even more knowledge and more data. But again, your models and your answers are only as good as your data. So I think, again, he's hitting on something really, really strong, that you want to get as much data ingested, but you want, even if it's unstructured, clean, scrub data that has some effectiveness in it. And so I think we're getting to a world where the more structured and unstructured data that you have that's scrubbed, the more precise with post-training you can do to give answers to customers or employees or other businesses more accurately. And so I do think we're in a situation where data is really, really important. We've gone through a whole thing internally at Zendesk the last 2.5 years that wasn't that sexy, but we've spent a lot of time with our internal data, scrubbing it, putting it into the data lake so that we could go use it in a bunch of different AI applications. And until we did that, we kind of had a bottleneck on using our data. I'm not talking about our customer data, I'm talking about internal data to go run the business.
I think smart companies have taken this on as a project because it's not fun, it's not sexy, but it's going to have a dramatic impact on how a business operates in the coming years. It's the foundation.
It's the foundation, and there's some really cool use cases right now. I've been talking to a bunch of startups on reporting and analytics, and we just acquired a company that does some really cool stuff in reporting and analytics that you're getting to the point where instead of getting a report, you can go natural query. What is the year over year increase in automated resolutions in Malta for our customer base, and you can go get that data with natural language queries that can give you really insights, and you can go prompt reporting analytics to give you more forward thinking things. What should I be thinking about to run my business that I'm concerned about Malta, and I'm concerned about how our customers are getting value from our product? And you can get prompts and ideas back. And I think that's, again, shifting from old static reports to real insights. And again, you can do that through natural language.
Brandon Bird on LinkedIn says, when you increase self-service levels, how do you address agent burnout? And I'm going to ask you to start answering these, Tom, relatively quickly because I want to get to everybody. And we have a lot of questions, and I have my own questions.
You can self-service, you're answering the easy questions, and human agent burnout is real. It's one of the most stressful jobs possible. I think you can help them get better at their job through Copilot. And so you're serving them the answers, which I think can go really help with burnout because they're getting more accurate, more empathy, and they're getting it right with customers.
Here is a question from Preeti Narayan, who says in her region, there is a lack of computer literacy. And what can a company like Zendesk do to make those computer interactions easier for folks who are not computer experts?
We have a foundation and we have a program where we've trained over 10,000 people that might not have the same kind of access there is in other parts of the world to become customer service agents, human agents, and giving them the computer skills and the customer skills. And so that's one of the things we're doing at Zendesk. Doing good, doing right is doing good. And I think more and more companies are going to have to figure out how to help people become more computer literate, more customer service literate, and become great customer service agents.
Tom, how has this AI trajectory affected how Zendesk thinks about talent, team composition, and jobs?
We haven't gone as radical as other people. I know they've said, hey, you need to justify any job requisition with why AI cannot do it. But when we talk to talent now, I know one of the first questions I ask is, how are you using, even for C-suite employees, how are you using AI in your everyday life, professionally and personally? Because in this AI era, if you're not using the tools, if you're not experimenting, you're not getting better, I don't think you're going to have the skills and capabilities to succeed. So that's one of the things that we've talked about. And then we're going to start a big push. We've kind of had a bottoms-up approach up until now about how our employees use AI, and we've opened up like an enterprise license for ChatGPT. I use it every day. I think you're going to see a little more top-down pushes to encouraging employees to use these tools more, because I think it's good for the company, it's good for their career.
Can you talk about the future and where is AI customer experience headed?
We believe at Zendesk that 80% of interactions will be through automated resolutions in 5 years. So do not involve a human in any way, shape, or form. We think 100% of interactions will involve AI in some way, shape, or form within 5 years. That means that last 20% that humans are solving, they're going to do that with the assistance of AI. We do think there's another trend, though, that once you start getting quick satisfaction, it's the opposite of dealing with that chatbot, Michael, you and I talked about earlier. We think consumers, employees, and other businesses are going to interact with those companies more and more and have more interactions. So we think interactions are actually going to explode, particularly when you start using your own AI agent and task them with doing something. And so those are some of the trends that we're going to see in AI over the next 5 years.
What about the impact of AI on jobs in general across the economy? Is that something that you have thought about at all? Where is this going from a jobs? What jobs will be affected? What won't, and so forth?
Definitely thought about it, and I'll give more of a personal story, and I alluded to it before. I have a 22-year-old daughter who just recently graduated from college, and I have a 20-year-old son who's in college, and they've asked me, with the advent of AI, what job should I be doing? I think an answer would have been 15 years ago, go into coding, right? Software engineering is a great place to go. I'm really telling them that, again, number one, be really, really knowledgeable about AI. Use it in your personal life, use it in your professional. That is going to distinguish you from other people. Number two, I tell them it's going to go back to the basics. If you can read well, you can write well, you can analyze well, you're going to be fine, because no one can predict what the job market's going to evolve over the next 40 to 50 years. And that's kind of their career trajectory of, young 20-something people, is what's going to happen the next 40 or 50 years. And we've seen what's happened in the last 3 years with AI. So really encourage people to get those basic skills. And third, I encourage them to learn how to prompt. And it's kind of tied to 1 and 2. How to use AI. And I think I've experimented the last 2 or 3 years, and my prompting is getting better and better. I think that skill is going to be great. And it's kind of interesting. I think some of the liberal arts education, when you write well, you analyze well, you read well, is going to be more and more important in prompting.
On the prompting topic, folks listening, we did a show specifically on prompting for business leaders. So check out CXOTalk.com and go back a few episodes and you'll find that show. It was really, really great. Very, very quickly, data privacy and security, cybersecurity of your data. Can you talk about that? Because obviously it's an extremely important topic.
We take data privacy, and it's kind of that white box approach, really, really seriously. And so we are out in the forefront right now on trust. The amount of certifications that we have to make sure that we have a lot of confidence that we're going to protect with our customers. Your data is really paramount to us. Second, we want to make sure that we can personalize things to you, but not in a creepy way with companies. And so we work with companies on that. But I think we're going to be in an era where that white box approach versus the black box approach, and exposing that not just to companies, but employees, consumers, and other businesses on how people are using your personally identifiable information, how they're securing that, is going to be more and more of a topic over the next 5 to 10 years. But it's absolutely the forefront of our AI approach.
And with that, I'm afraid we're out of time. Tom, thank you so much for being a guest on CXO Talk. I'm so grateful to you and for your team at Zendesk.
Great questions, great flow. Really, really appreciate your time, Michael, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be on with you today.
Folks, before you go, now would be an excellent time to subscribe to the CXO Talk newsletter. Go to CXOTalk.com. We'll keep you updated on upcoming shows. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Take care.